At midnight, she forced her mother-in-law out, overwhelmed by the stench. The husband's next move will leave you breathless. Welcome, everyone. This is our story. Don't forget to like, share, and let us know in the comments where you're reading from. On a frigid November Tuesday, Daniel sped home from his business trip. 7 agonizing days apart, his heart ached for his family. It was 11:45 p.m., the darkness thickening around him. Silence enveloped the deserted streets. Daniel's heart raced at the thought of the surprise for Rosa and Helen. He was meant to be gone until Sunday, but the meetings wrapped up ahead of schedule. Joy surged within him at the thought of their faces lighting up upon his arrival. Daniel approached his street, his house looming ahead, a beacon of familiarity and unspoken memories. The house stood proud, its small garden a sanctuary, tended with love by his mother. Yet tonight, everything felt off. Daniel eased his foot off the gas. He narrowed his eyes, straining to pierce the darkness with the moon's faint glow. A figure lingered just beyond his front door. A tiny silhouette curled tightly on a makeshift stool. That's strange, Daniel thought, a chill creeping in. Who dares to linger in the shadows at this hour? Daniel stopped the car, heart racing, and stepped out into the unknown. With each step toward his house, his heart raced, pounding in his chest. An old woman stood outside, shivering in her thin clothes. She trembled in the biting night chill. "Mother?" Daniel shouted, disbelief etched across his face. The old woman raised her head, a heavy weight in her gaze. It was Helen, his mother. Her face ghostly pale, lips a chilling blue, gray hair a wild tangle. Seeing Daniel made her eyes brim with tears. "Daniel," Helen breathed softly. Her voice trembled, barely holding on. "You returned home too soon." Daniel dashed to his mother, dropping to his knees before her. He grasped her icy hands tightly. "Mom, what are you doing out here?" The chill cuts deep. "Where has Rosa gone? Why are you out here, away from the safety of the house?" Helen's gaze fell to the earth below. Her cheeks flushed, and she averted her gaze from Daniel. A tear traced a path down her weathered cheek. "Your wife said I was smelling," Helen whispered, her voice barely a breath, forcing Daniel to lean in, heart racing. "She ordered me to wait outside until dawn, craving the chill of fresh air." Daniel sensed time freeze around him. His jaw fell, eyes widening in disbelief. "She left you out there? The entire night? In this chill?" Daniel's voice rose, but he fought to keep his composure for his mother. Helen's head dipped in a slow, deliberate acknowledgement. She shut the door tight as I stepped into the world. I knocked softly, but silence lingered. I feared disturbing the neighbors. Daniel's gaze fell on his mother's frail nightgown and her bare feet, damp in the wet slippers. His fingers brushed against hers. They were cold as death. His heart shattered at the sight of the woman who had nurtured him, alone and vulnerable outside. Little did Daniel realize this was only the start. What he would uncover about his wife Rosa would shatter his world. Daniel's gaze fell on his watch, urgency tightening in his chest. Midnight had come and gone. For over 3 hours, his mother endured the biting cold outside. Her breath formed tiny white clouds with each word she spoke. "Mom, how long have you been out here?" Daniel asked softly, his grip on her cold hands unwavering. Helen replied softly, "Since around 9. The door creaked open, and Rosa stepped in, shattering the stillness of my evening show. Her fury simmered just beneath the surface. She entered the living room, her voice sharp, declaring the house reeked because of me. Daniel's anger surged, a storm brewing beneath his calm facade. "What comes next?" Helen's voice dropped to a whisper. She urged me to step outside, seeking solace in the air. When I asked when I could return, she replied, "Maybe in the morning," when the scent had faded. Daniel's mind raced as disbelief washed over him. This was his mother, the woman who sacrificed everything to give him an education, the same woman who starved so he could feast. His wife had discarded her like trash. "Mom, we need to get you inside." "Now," Daniel urged, his voice steady but urgent. He lifted Helen from the stool, their eyes locking in a moment that spoke volumes. Her legs ached, frozen in the biting chill of time. Daniel wrapped his arm around his mother's shoulders, guiding her toward the front door. The porch light flickered out, casting shadows that swallowed the night whole. Daniel pounded on the door, urgency in every strike. "Rosa!" he shouted, desperation lacing his voice. "Open this door now!" In that fleeting moment, silence reigned. Suddenly, slow footsteps echoed within the house. The footsteps echoed with reluctance, a hesitant approach to the door. At last, the sound of locks clicking echoed in the silence. The door creaked ajar. Rosa stood in the doorway, draped in a stunning silk nightgown. Her hair fell flawlessly, radiating warmth and comfort. Her eyes widened as she caught sight of Daniel, shock etched across her features. "Daniel." Rosa inhaled sharply. "Why are you here? You weren't meant to return until Sunday." Daniel's gaze pierced through his wife. She radiated warmth and comfort, while his mother shivered in the cold outside. His anger surged even higher. "Why is my mother out there shivering in the cold?" Daniel inquired. His voice was soft, yet a thrilling danger lurked in his words. Rosa's gaze darted between Daniel and Helen, tension crackling in the air. Her mind raced, searching for the right words. She forced a smile, masking the storm within. "Helen craved fresh air," Rosa remarked, her voice betraying a hint of urgency. "She often finds solace in the stillness of the outdoors." She whispered that the house was suffocating. Daniel's heart raced, fury igniting within him. He glanced at his mother, trembling beside him. "Mom, is that really true?" Daniel inquired softly. Helen's gaze locked onto Rosa, terror flickering in her eyes. Her gaze locked onto Daniel. Fear gripped her as she hesitated. But at last, she shook her head, a slow, heavy gesture of denial. "No, son," Helen whispered. "Rosa said I was ruining the air in the house. She told me to step outside and not return until dawn." Heat flooded Rosa's cheeks as the words hit her. She felt the weight of her deception closing in. "That's not how it went," Rosa shot back, her voice rising in pitch. "I believed a breath of fresh air might lift her spirits." "Don't the elderly deserve fresh air?" Daniel's gaze locked onto his wife, shock coursing through him. Even now, caught in her web of lies, Rosa clung desperately to her excuses. "We're going inside," Daniel declared, his voice unwavering. "Everyone." He guided his mother, steadying her as they moved past Rosa and into the embrace of the warm house. Rosa stepped aside, her anger palpable in her eyes. Inside the house, Daniel spotted something that deepened his turmoil. The living room gleamed, infused with the scent of luxury. The air was pure, untouched by any foul scent. Rosa's web of lies unraveled, leaving nothing but devastation in its wake. Daniel gently placed his mother on the couch, wrapping her in a soft blanket. A tender moment filled with unspoken love. Her shivering faded as the warm air caressed her skin. "I'll make you some hot tea, Mom," Daniel whispered, his voice laced with warmth. Daniel strode toward the kitchen, Rosa trailing closely behind. She seized his arm, her voice a fierce whisper. "Why are you blowing this out of proportion?" "She's okay, right?" Daniel halted, his gaze locking onto his wife. In that moment, he finally glimpsed the true Rosa, the woman hidden beneath the surface of their marriage. What he saw twisted his insides, leaving him nauseated. This was just the start of Daniel's longest, darkest night. Daniel wrenched his arm free from Rosa's hold. His gaze pierced her, revealing depths she had never encountered. Coldness wrapped around them, anger simmering just beneath the surface. "Is she really okay?" Daniel echoed Rosa's words, each syllable heavy with meaning. "My mother endured the biting cold for 3 hours. And you believe she's okay?" Rosa's eyes flicked with exasperation. "Daniel, this is too much." Outside, the chill barely bites. I felt suffocated in this house, gasping for air. "What do you mean you couldn't breathe?" Daniel inquired. Rosa's arms were crossed, her annoyance palpable. Your mother applies those pungent herbal creams to her aching joints. She cooks with potent spices that fill the house with an overwhelming stench. I have friends coming over tomorrow, and I can't let them catch that lingering old person's scent. Daniel's mind raced, disbelief crashing over him like a wave. His wife spoke of his mother as if she were nothing, devoid of humanity. Those herbal creams ease her arthritis pain. Daniel shouted, his voice rising with urgency. Those spices carry the weight of her mother's lessons. They weave into the fabric of our family legacy. I don't care about your family traditions, Rosa shot back. This is my home as well, and I refuse to endure this any longer. Daniel's heart sank as if Rosa had struck him hard. Your sanctuary. This house stands as a testament to my mother's sacrifice. Her land traded for my future. The income for this house is rooted in the lessons she imparted. Rosa's eyes widened in shock. Daniel's words pierced the silence, raw and unfiltered. He often remained silent, caught in the storm between his wife and mother. Daniel, you're frightening me, Rosa said, forcing a sweetness into her voice. What fuels your rage? I only wanted to make a difference. Fresh air revives the spirit of the elderly. Daniel saw through her sugary facade at last. Need assistance? You left my mother out in the freezing cold. That doesn't help, Rosa. That's pure cruelty. A faint cough echoed from the living room. Daniel's mother lingered on the couch, her silence heavy with unspoken words, absorbing every moment of their conversation. Daniel turned away, leaving Rosa isolated in the kitchen's silence. He settled beside his mother, grasping her hands once more. Mom, I'm so sorry this happened to you, Daniel whispered, his voice trembling. Reveal the truth to me. Has Rosa pulled stunts like this while I was gone? Helen glanced at the kitchen, heart racing, ensuring Rosa remained unaware. She turned to Daniel, her eyes heavy with sorrow. Son, I don't want to ruin your marriage, Helen whispered, her voice trembling. Mom, please. I need the truth, Daniel urged, his voice barely a whisper. Helen inhaled sharply. This week, in your absence, everything changed. Rosa cut me out of her meals. She handed me a plate of leftovers, her voice cold as she instructed me to eat alone in my room. Daniel's heart shattered with each word he heard. Helen pressed on, revealing how she was banned from the living room, the couch's scent a haunting reminder of her presence. Yesterday, she welcomed friends into her world. When one of them inquired about my identity, Rosa simply stated I was just the housekeeper. Daniel's hands trembled, fury igniting within him. She claimed you were just the housekeeper? Helen's nod was heavy with sorrow. After her friends departed, she confided in me that my presence in the living room had humiliated her. She whispered that when her friends visit again, I must remain concealed in my room. Daniel rose from the couch. His face burned with fury, fists clenched tightly. He couldn't take it anymore. Rosa re-entered the living room, glass of water trembling in her grip. Her smile was a mask, hiding the storm within. I brought water for Helen, Rosa said, her voice laced with feigned concern. Daniel had reached his limit with Rosa's insincere warmth. What he was about to do next would leave everyone, even Rosa, breathless. Daniel's gaze flickered from the glass of water in Rosa's hand to the depths of her eyes. He saw through her facade of the caring wife. The truth was now painfully clear. Keep your water, Daniel said, his voice icy. My mother doesn't need anything from you. Rosa's smile shattered. What did you say? What does that even mean? Daniel stepped closer to Rosa, their eyes locking in a charged moment. He was short, yet in this moment, he radiated a terrifying presence. It means I see the truth of you now, Daniel said, his voice heavy with weight. You've changed beyond recognition. You're a stranger to me now. Rosa laughed, but the sound was hollow, laced with sorrow. It was a cruel laugh. Oh, come on, Daniel. You're making a huge deal out of nothing. Your mother is okay. Gaze upon her. She sits alone on the couch. She radiates warmth now. What's the real issue? The big problem, Daniel said, his voice getting louder, is that you treated my mother like trash. You forced her to eat in solitude. as if she were a caged beast. You claimed to your friends she was just the housekeeper. You left her shivering in the cold, repulsed by her scent. Rosa's eyes darted, a storm brewing within. Daniel, you have no idea what it's like to share your life with someone so old, day in and day out. The scents linger, her odd quirks, the shuffle of her feet echoing through the home. It's revolting. Helen listened from the couch, tears streaming down her face. She covered her mouth, desperate to stifle the cries that escaped her. Seeing his mother in tears shattered Daniel's heart. Repulsive? Daniel's voice trembled, fury igniting each word he uttered. Do you really find my mother repulsive? Absolutely. Rosa screamed, abandoning all pretense of kindness. I meant every word. Living with the elderly is unbearable, and I'm exhausted from the facade. Daniel gazed at his wife, as if she were a stranger, yet familiar, igniting a storm of emotions within him. The woman he loved and married revealed her true heart. Her heart, a frozen shard pierced with cruelty. Do you know what's truly revolting, Rosa? Daniel whispered. What did you say? Rosa lashed out. Daniel whispered, Your heart so ugly and selfish. Rosa gasped in shock. Daniel's words pierced the silence, raw and unfiltered. How could you ever speak to me that way? Rosa screamed. I am your wife. You should be with me, not her. Daniel glanced at his mother, tears streaming down her face as she sat on the couch. He turned to Rosa, her face twisted in anger, consumed by her own needs. Curious about my allegiance, are you? Daniel inquired. I stand with the woman who toiled through 3 jobs for my education. I stand with the woman who sacrificed it all for my education. I stand with the woman who starved so I could feast. Rosa's face flushed, fury igniting within her. That's a distant past. What about everything I've sacrificed for you? What will happen to us? What about me? Daniel scanned the stunning house, his heart racing. He gazed at the lavish furniture and the opulent decorations. He pictured his mother shivering in the cold, while Rosa basked in warmth and comfort. Do you know what Rosa is? Daniel spoke, his voice steady yet charged with unspoken weight. You're absolutely right. This is your home as well. Rosa's heart raced as she caught Daniel's approving glance. But do you realize what else? Daniel pressed on. If you can't honor my mother here, then you have no place here. Rosa's smile vanished in an instant. What do you mean? Daniel approached the closet, heart racing, and yanked out a heavy suitcase. It hit the floor with a deafening thud. Pack your bags, Daniel said. In this moment, Rosa's laughter broke the silence, tinged with anxiety. Are you serious? This can't be real. Daniel's gaze pierced through his wife, icy and unyielding. Do I seem like I'm playing around? In that moment, Rosa understood. Daniel was serious. What followed would leave everyone in shock. Rosa's gaze fixed on the suitcase, then darted to Daniel's solemn expression. It felt surreal, like a nightmare she couldn't wake from. Daniel, you can't be serious, Rosa whispered, her voice trembling. You're really going to throw me out of my own home for your aging mother? This house is ours, Daniel declared, his voice steady and resolute. My mother's sacrifice made it possible. Anyone who disrespects her has no place here. Anger welled up in Rosa as tears brimmed in her eyes. All right, you expect me to say sorry to her? I'm sorry. Helen, I'm truly sorry. Please forgive me. Are they truly happy now? Daniel simply shook his head. Fake apologies won't cut it now, Rosa. Tonight, you revealed your true self to me. Helen rose from the couch, each movement heavy with unspoken weight. Her legs trembled, the chill still clinging to her from the long, cold wait. Daniel, please don't let me be the reason for your pain. I might need to find a different place to be. No, Mom, Daniel spoke in a rush. You're staying right here. Welcome to your sanctuary. This is your place. Rosa's mind raced, disbelief gripping her heart. Why must I go while she remains? It's unjust. Just? Daniel echoed. Was it just to leave my mother shivering in the bitter cold? Was it just to confine her to her room, forcing her to eat alone like a captive? Was it just to label her as merely the housekeeper? Rosa's heart raced as the truth dawned. Daniel knew it all. Her secrets lay bare, exposed to the world. I messed up. Rosa's voice trembled, a fragile attempt at remorse. We can make it right. We can create boundaries. She'll retreat to her room, and I'll make an effort to be kinder. This doesn't have to be the end of us. Daniel's gaze pierced through Rosa, revealing an unsettling distance between them. Guidelines? You think you can dictate how my mother lives in her own home? Yes, Rosa replied, her voice steady yet charged with unspoken weight. To coexist, we must establish limits. Daniel hurled the suitcase onto the couch, the spot where his mother had just been lingering heavy with absence. The only line I'm drawing tonight is this, Daniel declared. It's time to gather your belongings and go. In this moment, Rosa gasped, stunned. She surveyed the lavish living room, adorned with exquisite decorations and luxurious furniture. You can't abandon me like this. Not now, not ever. Rosa fought back. Where do I go from here? You can go to your parents' house, Daniel said. They'll welcome you, I promise. Rosa's tears flowed, fierce and burning, a storm of anger unleashed. My parents will question my presence. What can I possibly say to them? Speak the truth, Daniel commanded, his voice icy. Reveal that you cast an elderly woman into the frigid night, repulsed by her scent. Rosa's face drained of color. Fear gripped her heart. The thought of her parents' wrath was unbearable. Her mother instilled in her a deep respect for the wisdom of the elderly. Daniel, please! Rosa's voice trembled with desperation. We'll discuss this tomorrow when emotions settle. Please don't let me go tonight. Daniel had reached his limit with Rosa's pleas and justifications. You had no issue leaving my mother out all night, Daniel said. Now you understand the weight of it all. Daniel ascended the stairs, each step heavy with unspoken tension, heading toward their bedroom. I'll be taking more of your clothes. Begin the journey, pack that suitcase now. Rosa stood frozen in the living room, her gaze locked on the suitcase. It felt surreal, like a nightmare she couldn't wake from. As Daniel's footsteps echoed above, rummaging through drawers and closets, a chilling realization gripped her. He was serious. Helen approached Rosa, each step deliberate and heavy with tension. Rosa hoped the old woman would offer help or a kind word. Helen locked eyes with Rosa and uttered words that would haunt her for a lifetime. I never asked for much, Helen whispered. Her voice, a whisper, held a fierce power. All I sought was a quiet life in my son's home. I longed to be part of the dinner preparations, to share in the warmth of the kitchen. I longed to share a moment with my family, gathered around the television. I craved a place to call home. Rosa's gaze fell to the floor, avoiding Helen's piercing stare. After his father died, I was all Daniel had, Helen continued. By day, I stocked shelves. By night, I scrubbed floors. My hands throbbed from scrubbing floors, yet I stayed silent. Rosa squirmed, but Helen's words flowed relentlessly. At 12, when Daniel fell ill with pneumonia, I sold my wedding ring to afford his medicine. I bought him soccer shoes, even with holes in my own. His joy was worth the sacrifice. Helen's voice surged with newfound strength. I sold the land my husband left me, my only treasure, so Daniel could chase his dreams at university. I thought knowledge held greater value than wealth. Rosa's gaze met Helen's at last. For the first time, she saw her not as an irritating old woman, but as a person with deep emotions and a rich past. All I ever wanted, Helen whispered, was for my son to find joy. Hearing him say he wanted to marry you filled me with joy for him. Even when your gaze pierced me like I was nothing, I remained silent, all for Daniel's love for you. Rosa's eyes brimmed with tears, no longer fueled by anger. Shame spilled from their eyes. Tonight, you crossed a line that can never be uncrossed, Helen whispered, her voice trembling. You revealed to my son the true nature of your character. Now you must face what you've wrought. Daniel reappeared, burdened by 2 heavy suitcases brimming with Rosa's clothes. He placed them beside the first. That's all from upstairs, Daniel whispered. Everything is ready, your jewelry, your makeup, your shoes. It's all packed. Rosa's gaze locked onto the 3 suitcases on the floor, a weight of unspoken decisions hanging in the air. 3 bags held the weight of her entire life in this house. Daniel, this is insane, Rosa whispered, her voice trembling. 2 years of marriage. You'll risk it all for a single misstep. Daniel's gaze locked onto his wife. A single misstep. Rosa, your cruelty towards my mother has gone on for months. Tonight, I finally witnessed it firsthand. I can change. I will change. Rosa wept. I swear I'll change. I promise to treat your mother with kindness. I will honor her. One more chance, please. Daniel's head hung low, a silent storm brewing within. Trust is gone, Rosa. If you can do this to my mother, what else are you capable of? Rosa understood that her pleas and promises were futile against Daniel's resolve. She brushed away her tears, forcing strength into her gaze. Fine, Rosa declared, her chin raised defiantly. Then so be it. Don't say a word when the weight of your loss hits you. Daniel grasped 2 suitcases, determination etched on his face as he moved toward the front door. I know what I nearly lost, he whispered. I nearly shattered my mother's trust and love by picking the wrong woman. With a swift motion, Rosa seized the 3rd suitcase and trailed Daniel to the door. At the front entrance, she glanced back one final time at the house she was leaving behind. Helen stood in the doorway, eyes fixed on them, heart racing. The old woman's face was a canvas of sorrow, yet beneath it flickered a glimmer of relief. Daniel swung the front door open, stepping into the world with suitcases in hand. The frigid night air burst into the cozy warmth of the home. Your car keys are in your purse, Daniel said. Stay safe on the road. Rosa emerged onto this porch, the very spot where Helen had braved the biting cold just an hour earlier. Now she felt the cold grip of the night pulling her away. What Rosa didn't realize was that this was only the start of the repercussions for her cruelty. With a heavy heart, Rosa loaded her suitcases into the car and slid into the driver's seat, ready to leave it all behind. Her hands trembled violently as she turned the key in the ignition. She glanced back at the house, heart racing, as Daniel shut the front door behind him. The door slammed shut, shattering her world in an instant. As Rosa sped down the desolate streets to her parents' home, her mind raced with the words she would share. Her parents resided in a sprawling house across town. They cherished Rosa's union with Daniel, holding him in high regard. Catherine instilled in Rosa a deep kindness for the elderly, a lesson that echoed through her heart. Respect your elders, she would insist, her voice echoing in Rosa's mind from childhood. One day, age will catch up to you, and you'll crave the kindness of the young. Rosa arrived at her parents' house, the clock striking 1:30 a.m. The darkness enveloped the house. Her parents were lost in slumber. She lingered in her car, thoughts racing, searching for the right words. At last, Rosa stepped from her car and pressed the doorbell. Footsteps echoed within, and suddenly the porch light blazed to life. Rosa! Her father's voice pierced the silence beyond the door. Is it really you? Absolutely, Daddy. It's me. Rosa's voice cut through the silence. William swung the door wide, revealing a world of uncertainty beyond. In his pajamas, worry etched across his face. Rosa, why are you here? Is everything all right? Where is Daniel? Rosa's tears fell once more. Daddy, may I enter? I'm desperate for a place to sleep tonight. William flung the door wide, urgency in his eyes as he rushed to assist Rosa with her suitcases. Absolutely, my love. You're always welcome to stay here. What transpired? Where are you? Daniel's waiting. Rosa's mother stirred awake, her eyes wide with urgency. She descended the stairs, robe clinging to her, confusion and worry etched on her face. Rosa, what's the matter, love? Catherine embraced her daughter tightly. Rosa collapsed onto her parents' couch, the weight of the world pressing down on her. The very couch where she once curled up as a child. Now she felt a profound shift within her. Shame washed over her, fear gripping her heart. Daniel and I clashed, Rosa whispered, her voice trembling. A clash over what? Her father sat beside her, his gaze heavy with unspoken words. Rosa gazed into her parents' warm, loving eyes. They had shaped her, molded her into something greater. They were the ones who showed her the line between right and wrong. Now, she faced the moment of truth, revealing the depths of her failure. Was it about his mother? Rosa spoke, her gaze averted. Helen, Catherine inquired. What will become of her? Is she all right? Rosa inhaled sharply. Fear gripped her heart as she faced the truth, dreading her parents' reaction. I forced her into the night, Rosa whispered softly. Out there? William's brow furrowed in confusion. Why would you force her into the cold? The night is bitterly cold. Rosa's tears flowed uncontrollably. I told her she reeked and left her outside until dawn. Daniel returned unexpectedly, and she was waiting for him. Silence enveloped the living room. Rosa's parents gaped at her, disbelief etched across their faces. You really did that? Catherine's voice rose, trembling with urgency. I couldn't take it anymore, Rosa said, her voice trembling as she fought for her truth. Her creams reek, and the meals she prepares fill the house with an unsettling odor. I was expecting friends, and I couldn't let them breathe in those stale, old scents. William rose from the couch, tension crackling in the air. His face flushed, fury igniting within him. Rosa Elizabeth Johnson, this is unbelievable. Rosa felt a chill. Her father's fury was a ghost from her past, haunting her once more. She gave up everything for him. William pressed on. Daniel shared how she juggled countless jobs and sacrificed her land to fund his education. You left her shivering in the cold, like she was nothing more than a stray. Rosa understood, in that crushing moment, that her parents would not offer the solace she desperately craved. I made a mistake, Rosa whispered, her voice trembling. Daniel's reaction was extreme. He threw me out of my own home. Catherine's head shook, a silent storm of disappointment brewing within her. Rosa, that place wasn't yours. That was the house of Daniel's family. You had no right to treat her like that. Rosa stared at her parents, shock etched across her face. She had hoped for their support, a lifeline to reunite with Daniel. They chose to stand with Daniel, but Rosa was about to discover that her parents' disappointment paled in comparison to the devastation awaiting her reputation when the truth emerged. Mom, Dad, please don't be so hard on me, Rosa pleaded, her voice trembling. I realize I erred, but I am still your daughter. You were meant to stand by me. Catherine faced Rosa, her eyes heavy with sorrow. Rosa, being there for you doesn't mean I condone your terrible choices. Your actions towards that woman were utterly ruthless and devoid of compassion. We raised you better than this, William added, his voice heavy with disappointment. Your mother and I are deeply disappointed in you. Rosa's world crumbled around her. Daniel had cast her aside, and now her parents looked at her with disappointment. What do I do now? Rosa asked, tears streaming down her face. Catherine's voice cut through the air, sharp and unwavering. You need to think about what you've done. You must discover how to set things straight. How can I fix this when Daniel won't even look my way? Rosa inquired. William's head hung low, a silent storm brewing within. Rosa, this isn't just about Daniel anymore. This is a journey to transformation. Learn from this mistake. Rosa's parents led her to her childhood room, memories flooding back. It was just as it had been in high school, pink walls, stuffed animals watching silently from the shelves. That night, Rosa tossed and turned in her childhood bed, sleep eluding her. Helen sat outside, cold and shivering, utterly alone. The thought pierced her heart. For the first time, Rosa grasped the depth of Helen's fear and pain. At Daniel's house, a storm was brewing. Shadows danced, and secrets whispered. Daniel sat beside his mother on the couch, the steam from her cup of hot tea curling into the air. A moment of quiet connection between them. Helen felt the warmth envelop her, a soft blanket shielding her from the world. Mom, I'm so sorry, Daniel whispered, gripping her hand tightly. I should have seen through Rosa's deception. I failed to keep you safe. Helen gripped her son's hand tightly. Daniel, you had no way of knowing. Rosa masked her true feelings flawlessly in your presence. Daniel's voice trembled with regret. I should have seen the signs. Your sadness should have been my first clue when I walked through the door. I wish I had probed deeper into how you were really feeling. Helen gazed at her son's anxious expression. Despite the turmoil, her heart ached more for Daniel than for her own suffering. Don't blame yourself, son, Helen whispered gently. You married Rosa, driven by love's fierce pull. Love compels us to seek the good in others, despite their unworthiness. Daniel sank into the couch, a heavy sigh escaping his lips. I never imagined I'd be tied to someone capable of such cruelty towards you. How could I have missed her true self? People can conceal their true selves for ages, Helen revealed. Rosa's kindness towards me during your relationship was just a ploy to win your affection. Once she found safety in your marriage, her true self emerged. Daniel nodded, the weight of his mother's words sinking in. She deceived me utterly. Daniel gazed at his mother, his heart swelling with love and deep respect. Mom, you mean everything to me. You will forever remain. In the warm, peaceful house, Daniel and Helen shared a moment they had long yearned for, an overwhelming sense of safety and love. Yet dawn would unveil unforeseen trials for them both. Daniel rose before dawn, urgency driving him to his mother's side. He discovered her by the window, gazing out at the garden. The morning sun kissed her face, a fleeting moment of peace amidst the chaos. Morning, Mom, Daniel whispered gently. Did you rest well? Helen glanced back, her smile a beacon for her son. Definitely an improvement over last night. She chuckled softly. Daniel slid into the seat beside her. Mom, I've been reflecting. Let's go see Dr. Collins today for your checkup. That frigid air could have taken a toll on your health. I'm fine, Daniel, Helen whispered. There's no need for all that worry. Mom, please. Daniel's voice trembled with urgency. I just need to know you're okay. Helen saw the fear in her son's eyes and nodded in agreement. Fine, if it brings you some comfort. At 9 sharp, Daniel dialed Dr. Collins's office, urgency lacing his voice as he recounted the events. The nurse gasped, heart racing, as she learned an elderly woman had endured the freezing night alone outside. Get her here now, the nurse urged. We'll see her the moment you arrive. Just as Daniel and Helen prepared to head to the doctor's office, the doorbell pierced the silence. Daniel swung the door wide, and there stood Dorothy, their neighbor, her face etched with worry. Daniel, my love, is everything okay? Dorothy inquired. Last night, chaos erupted and my heart raced with worry. Dorothy, a gentle soul, had been my neighbor for 15 years, her warmth a constant in my life. She had always shown warmth to Daniel's family. Step inside, Dorothy, Daniel urged. I have something urgent to share. Dorothy entered, her gaze locking onto Helen, who sat alone on the couch. Helen's weariness and pallor caught her eye. Hello, Helen. Dorothy greeted with a warmth that wrapped around her like a comforting embrace. How's your heart today? Daniel sat, breathless, recounting to Dorothy the chilling moment he found his mother in the cold, the sting of Rosa's cruelty, and the heart-wrenching departure that followed. Dorothy's face revealed a deepening turmoil.